Yo, what's up guys and gals, this is Jacob Crash from TB10 Studios, and today we're going to be talking about CineStyle once again. Now, I made a video on CineStyle about a year ago when I was running on my old Rebel T3, which only shot 720p at 30 frames per second, and only had really low quality 8-bit color range. Now, CineStyle is an incredible color profile for Canon cameras. I absolutely love it. I think it's incredible. Now, it only works with specific ones though, like you can put them on any Canon DSLR, but it really depends on which DSLR you're gonna put it on. That Rebel T3 was not a good choice. I should have just stuck with the normal Canon neutral color profile. With the Rebel T3, it didn't have enough color depth to properly use CineStyle, so it got a lot of digital noise in the shadows. I'm using the Canon Rebel T3i now, and I have my Nikon D4, but we're talking about Canon. I will give you some example footage of the difference between Canon neutral, or a custom Canon neutral, and CineStyle. Obviously, CineStyle will give you more dynamic range, more detail in the shadows and in the highlights, but you still can be risking that digital noise. Now, if you go see my horror short, Alone in the Darkness, that was filmed on the Rebel T3i using CineStyle, and it was all color graded, just to give me more control in the visual effects department. Also, I would like to apologize for the change of scenery here. We're kind of redoing my room, or at least we're planning on doing it. And as you know, my dresser was my backsplash, pretty much, or my background for this, for all my videos. And I had issues accessing it whenever I filmed, so I'd have to move all my gear, and then I could access it. I had to move it back, and it was kind of a pain and a hassle. And hopefully, I'll be getting rid of my loft bed, getting an L desk, getting a new bed, a bunch of other stuff. So I'll have different setups and a more finalized setup for this channel. So again, apologize for the change of scenery. So the standard Canon colored profile, that's neutral, or the standard neutral Canon color profile, has sharpness set to 0, contrast set to 0, saturation set to 0, and color tone set to 0. So it's just a baseline, just flat. Or, well, neutral. It's not really flat. Then there's CineStyle. Same thing there. Drop contrast all the way down to 4, and then has an algorithm inputting more contrast dropping. Then, if you have the Canon EOS 5D Mark II or any 5D, they recommend the following settings: sharpness down to 0, contrast to -4, saturation down to -2, color tone to 0, and an ISO of a multiple of 160. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a lot of shots. I'm gonna teach you how to color grade and how to properly expose in CineStyle. That video that I made is a bit outdated, and personally, although it's fairly popular and I'm really glad you guys enjoyed it, I want to get an updated version, just going more into depth, or about how CineStyle works, how to get a good look out of CineStyle, and then what's the difference between Canon neutral, a custom Canon neutral, and CineStyle. And if you have an older camera like this, I wouldn't actually suggest using CineStyle on this camera. Maybe on the T5i and up, or some more professional cameras, but the color depth on this still does struggle a little bit. So if it's a low light situation, please do not use CineStyle. Use the Canon neutral profile. If you're outside, you can use CineStyle, because then you don't really have to worry about, like, if you're in daylight, you don't really have to worry about that digital noise in the shadows. So it really depends on what filming environment you're in. So let's get some B-roll, and I'll hop over to the computer and we'll color grade. Let me show you. This is the CineStyle footage of just a quick, non-graded CineStyle footage. So if I play through it, there it is. You got a lot of detail there. Oh, I forgot to turn off my speakers. And then right here is the Canon neutral. Now look at the differences here. We got a lot more detail in the shadows and the highlights here, but less digital noise overall in the shadows in the Canon neutral color profile. So let's color grade. So here's CineStyle. I usually color grade in DaVinci Resolve, but you can do the same things that I normally do in Lumetri. Let's grab Lumetri color. Let's open it up. I don't use basic corrections anymore. I make sure I have the Lumetri scopes pulled up here, so give it a second. And there we go. What I like to do is I'll go to color wheels, bring down the shadows. Just wait for it to. It'll get there. I'm in the wrong. I grabbed cut. I forgot to click on CineStyle. I'm very big brain here. Here we go. Bring down the shadows until right above the zero. Right above the zero. Don't want to be touching the zero, otherwise, unless it's completely black. Unless there's a part that is like 100% completely pitch black, which I don't have really anything like that. So that's about right. Bring up the highlights to. I don't like to be too close to the 100 mark, so I kind of leave myself at like a 95, just over a 95 mark. And I just bring my midtones down a touch to add a little bit of contrast. And look at the difference there. So before and after, and already you've got a lot more information in there, and you don't need to add any saturation or anything like that. And then the way I color grade is I will add points here, here, and here, and kind of get a nice highlight roll off, and then same for the shadows, and then just bring in some that detail right about there. Look at that, already amazing, and it's great. Now you can add your LUT or whatever you're using. A LUT, like if I want to go for the Fuji, let's go for. Let's do a Fuji 500D. That's a bit intense. You usually bring that to right about 50. I like to put it about 46 to 50%. And then I'll use these, like bring up the shadows just a tad. Okay, that's a bit too much. No, I won't use the basic correction. Let's try to fix it with the color wheels. You might have to adjust it just a tad bit when you add a LUT to it, because LUTs tend to mess with your original color. Let's bring the highlights down just a tad, and boom, you have a color grade right there. Good color grade, but you can see that there's quite a lot of digital noise in there. You might not be able to see it, but I can. And here, it's pretty simple to do a color grade here as well. Let's go down here, and the shadow's already brought down, so I don't have to worry about that. Bring up the highlights right about there, and bring down the midtones to add a little bit of contrast. Do the same thing with the curves. This is, again, my personal grading process. Like, nice highlight roll off, and bring up the shadows a bit. You can mess with this a little bit more since this is already got deeper and darker shadows. And then go here to creative. Grab the exact same LUT. I'm gonna bring it to about 46 or 45 works. And then go back down to color wheels and adjust. And adjust. And adjust. And natural or neutral color grade. Neutral color grade. This one's actually a little bit more intense than the other one. Just a little bit. But that was due to my quick color grading. And than what I did in the curves, but I like it. So personally, depending on the situation, if it's a low light situation, I would not use CineStyle. I would just stick with the Canon neutral color profile. It does perfectly fine. And if you really don't want to do a bunch color grading in post, then do the neutral color profile, because that just is less work, where this is a little bit more work. But personally, I do think you still have a little bit more detail in the CineStyle than you would in the neutral, but that's how it is. But there you go, that's how I color grade both the neutral and CineStyle color profiles. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. Comment what video I should make next. And see you all in the next video. Goodbye.